James, in life and sales, you've continuously redefined what's possible. How have you done that?
I think the number one element with regards to redefining what you're able to achieve in life is understanding that life is a journey and it's all about constantly getting better.
How do you propose the sales rep who is stuck in the mundane, I can't get the order, I can't get the close, I can't get the conversation, to say, listen, man, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You got to keep spinning your wheels. You got to keep going through it.
Well, here's the thing about sales. The funny thing about sales is most people didn't ever sign up for it. They kind of ended up doing sales. And another thing is, if you ask salespeople from a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are they with rejection? Most people will tell you that it terrifies them. Now, sales is a rejection game. We're not there to get lots of think it overs. We're there to get yeses and nos and nothing in the middle. But in order to do that, we have to be okay with rejection. And I think in life, we get rejected a lot. We get rejected by our family, by our friends, by our thoughts. We get rejected by the different scenarios we find ourselves in. And then we end up going into sales. I'm going to give you an example. What are the three things parents tell their children when they grow up? Don't talk to strangers. It's not polite to speak about money, and stop asking so many questions. And then we go out to the big bad world, and what are you expected to do to make a living? So
yeah,
there's a lot of what goes on with regards to how we are brought up and how we start to go through life, the decisions we make, the goals we set, and of course, what we actually achieve. And sometimes we don't achieve what we want to achieve. We kind of reject ourselves. I have this concept called choose your pain. It's either the pain of doing what's necessary or the pain of regret of not doing it. And I think that's something that salespeople they can either take that through life as baggage, or they can take that through life as opportunity for growth. Does that make sense?
It does. How far out should the sales mindset be when we think about setting a goal? Should we be setting annual goals, quarterly? What do you propose is the best outlook for that?
Yeah. So at Sandler, I'm a Sandler trainer, and we work methodology, and our philosophy is it's all about behavior, attitude, and technique. But we have something called the BAT triangle, and I can run through that for a second. Just give us a framework with regards to how we approach this. So attitude, so behavior, it's actually the goals, the plans, and the actions we take. In sales is a behavioral activity. All right, we have to do the behaviors. And I think it's true for most roles. If we do the behaviors that we're supposed to do, we'll be successful. The problem is that we tend to not do all the behaviors for a variety of different reasons, which we could talk about later. And in that element of the triangle, those goals are not only the long-term goals, they're the long-term goals, the short-term goals, the daily goals. And I think most of the biggest challenges people have is that they don't know how to set goals. Two, they know how to set goals, but they're afraid of setting them because they're afraid of failure. But I think another thing is some people are subconsciously afraid of success as well. And when it comes to sales, at the end of the day, it is all goal-based. The problem is that sales reps are typically measuring the wrong stuff. So for example, they'll set a goal for the amount of deals they need to bring in, right? Or the amount of money they need to make, or quota. The problem is with that is once we're measuring it, it's too late. And so at Sandler, we believe in focusing more on the leading indicators that bring you the result, as opposed to just jumping and constantly focusing on the result. Because if I tell the sales rep, look, you have to bring in $10 million worth of deals, they're scratching their head saying, how on earth do I do that? But if I'm able to help that rep understand that the daily behaviors they do, the number of calls they make, the number of presentations they give, the number of contracts they send, will then translate to the result, then every single one of those activities, those behaviors, actually start to get a value of money, if that makes any sense. So from a behavioral perspective, yeah.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show. It makes a ton of sense. And I've actually said on this show a few times now that we should measure inputs, not outputs. Yes, the outputs matter. Yes, we want the closes. We know what we want our sales goal to be. but we need to actively track the inputs. We need to know what it is that we're doing daily, weekly, monthly that are driving us closer to that output.
Absolutely. And another thing is, and this is from a leadership perspective, I always say sometimes we hire salespeople, we think we've hired James Bond, only 3 months later to figure out we've actually hired Mr. Bean. And the reason is because, one, we don't really realize what we're hiring or who we're hiring and for what reasons. But sometimes we hire good people, but unfortunately what we do is we don't focus or we don't put the effort in to align their goals, help them. I don't know many leaders that are willing to have the conversation with their sales reps about what drives them, what are their ambitions in life, what are their personal and professional goals. People don't want to have that conversation. It's kind of icky. They just don't want to go there, but it's necessary because our salespeople don't work for us because they like us. They don't work for us because of our brand. They don't work for us because they believe in our product. They work for us because they believe that working for us will help them achieve their personal and professional goals faster than working for someone else. And the minute they leave, it's not because of better benefits or whatever. It's because they believe that working for someone else will help them achieve their personal and professional goals faster than working for us. I think our job is to also uncover what are their personal goals, what drives them, what makes them excited, why do they get up every day? And then we can tie those to the goals of the company. That delivers way more success and also better employee loyalty, and we get more out of our reps. And I believe sales is a great profession. And there's never been a better time in history to be in sales than today. It's probably one of the best times ever. So that's a behavioral aspect of what we talked about. Attitude is the mindset. It's really our philosophy. It's how we see the world. It's our why. And it's how we see ourselves as individuals. It's our self-value. It's how we see our company, our product, and it's how we see our marketplace. And I know a lot of sales reps that are not so happy about the company they work in, the product they sell, and the marketplace they're in. They're constantly complaining. And some of them don't feel great about themselves either. And so it's that mindset that really encompasses everything around us that are very good. If anyone wants to be really good in sales, I used to think that it would be working on their technique and skill, but it took me time to figure out and realize that is something we can, but it's the mindset. It's the ability to deal with rejection. It's the ability to not be liked, not want to be liked. I think that's probably the number one mindset element with regards to being successful in sales. Successful salespeople are not looking to be liked. They're not looking to get their emotional needs met. They're looking to prospect, find opportunity, understand if someone has a problem that they can help them solve. If not, disqualify and move on. It's their ability to maintain a strong emotional composure. For example, not have happy ears. Some salespeople, they have happy ears. And I get it. We're human beings. They want to sell. They want to get a deal. They want to feel good about themselves. But sometimes they tell themselves stories about a prospect that isn't qualified. There's no money. There's no pain. There's no decision. But they keep people in their funnel and stalk them, for lack of a better word, because what they think they're hearing is a yes. So that's that attitude, mindset piece, being strong in myself, strong self-value, strong self-esteem. And finally, there's a technique piece. It's the strategies and tactics. It's what we do in order to set clear next steps, clear future commitments with our prospects, identify pain, and uncover the real reasons of why they need to be our clients and figure out if they have what it takes to work with us as well. So it's utilizing those tactics and skill sets in order to be successful.
I want to stay on attitude for a second. We might jump around here a little bit, but I want to stay on attitude. How do we as sales reps develop positive attitude time after time, day after day? Now, and I'm purposely thinking about the individual who's probably down on their luck, right? So in staffing and recruiting, the industry that we serve over here at Haley Marketing, the industry as a whole was down about 15 to 20% last year. That means a lot of sales reps aren't getting the commission checks that they got last year or the year before. They're not closing at the rate they were. It was a tough time for the industry. So instinctively, we can assume that emotions are down, attitudes are down. I want you to speak to the individual who might be a little down on their luck. How do we flip the switch today to say, listen, it's time for a new day, wake up and let's try something different?
That's a really good point. I love that question. I mean, my question is this: is there no business in this marketplace, or is there still business?
Oh, there's business. There's business to go out and get.
Right?
People are hiring for sure.
Okay, so and here's the thing: and if people are hiring, then any rep right now that's down in the dumps and having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or a bad quarter or even a bad year, I think they need to ask themselves, if I was an A player, if I was the best salesperson in the world in this marketplace, how would I behave? What would I tell myself? What would I do? Would I come to work and complain and blame and be a victim? Or would I pick up the phone and be different? Would I act like everybody else? Would I act like a vendor? Would I act like a trusted advisor? I think
Love that.
the biggest challenge that people have is breaking out of the loop of being themselves. And I don't know if you've ever listened to any Joe Dispenza stuff. He has a great book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And we all want to be better. I don't say we want to be different, but I'm sure we all want to be better. And what are we doing in order to become better? How are we reframing our mindset? What are we doing to help our own mind come to terms with who we want to be, as opposed to who we don't want to be or who we are? That's keeping at this level. And I believe this: you have three types. You have your winners, you have your losers, and you have your at leasters. The mediocre. Am I allowed to say losers on this podcast? I don't even know.
You can.
Can I get away with that? Okay.
You can get away with losers.
You got your losers. You got your winners. You got your losers, and you got the ones in the middle. The mediocres, the at leasters. The winners always expect to win. The losers always expect to lose. And the at-leasters, they always expect to kind of be mediocre. And you've got to ask yourself, where do you want to be? If you throw yourself a few years ahead in time, what kind of a sales professional do you want to be? And I think that's a really important question we should be asking ourselves. How can we bring our future selves to the present? And so from a mindset reframing, what I train and coach my clients to do is, one, journaling. If you have a weak mindset, if you get offended, first of all, I don't know if sales is the right thing for you. If you have fear of rejection, you might want to look for another job.
Sure. Yeah.
But if you do, is this something you're struggling with, then journal to yourself. Tell yourself that you're the best. Fake it till you make it. People say, I like to say, be it till you make it. Do it till you make it. And I will guarantee anyone out there that if they take a journal and they write to themselves every day, I'm the best salesperson they've ever seen, and you do that for 2 consecutive years, I guarantee you will become the best salesperson they've ever seen. But it's really what we tell ourselves. And if we can't tell ourselves that we're awesome, no one else will tell us that we're awesome. And if we don't have conviction, and I think the key word here is conviction, Brad. It's conviction. It's, people like to talk about mindset. That's, it's kind of nice, especially these days, it's kind of sexy and but it's really conviction, having full conviction in everything we do. The moment you have conviction, I say this, in a down market, hiring is probably one of the best industries to be in, because everyone's, they're all changing, they're moving, they want to get good people in, they want to get bad people out. I can't imagine a better time. And people talk about, there's a recession, and it's I was talking to someone earlier today. I'm like, it's a recession happening. I'm like, this is if there was a recession, probably the best thing for your business, because when there's a recession, that means that things are changing, companies are evolving, and I think that's a super important mindset element with regards to, we don't succeed when it's great, we succeed when it's bad. Everyone succeeds when it's great. During COVID, though, like money going out of everyone's ears. So it's like, yeah, right. There's money for free, but it doesn't really last. And it's about difficult times that build us up, make us stronger. Do you go to the gym?
Me?
Yeah.
4 days a week.
So, and do the weights get lighter every time you go?
There are days where they get heavier, but most times they get lighter. Yes.
But you get stronger. You don't get stronger by looking at them or crying at that they're, that you get stronger because you're lifting them every time, and it's painful. And it's creating, your muscle doesn't grow, right? You're ripping your muscle for it to grow later. That's what it's all about. And that's why I always say rejection is protection. If you're getting rejected, you might just be getting protected. When I cold call and someone's being a jerk on the phone, when I say, thank God this guy's telling me, James, I'm not for you, I'm a jerk, move on. The great ones next. It's, a couple more dials. Every time you get a no, that means your yes is coming. But, it's a combination, going back to your question, it builds that mindset. It's a combination of conditioning your mindset but also doing the behaviors. If we're not doing stuff, nothing happens. Nothing changes.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned conviction. I come from a music background, and I was on a ticket with a touring musician at one point. And when I got off stage, he looked at me and said, Brad, you sing with conviction. And when people sing or speak with conviction, anyone will listen to you.
Isn't that a great feeling? That's
it's
great.
interesting. It's interesting that you said that and that I actually just got called back to that because that was years ago. We're probably talking 15, 16 years at this point. But I remember him distinctly saying, you sing with conviction. And then I started to kind of, err aside and kind of like pass him off a little bit. And he said, but when you speak and sing with conviction, anyone will listen to you. And I think in the sales game, when you're not on, when your voice starts to fluctuate, the prospect knows that. And if you are speaking with conviction at any point of that process, the conversation becomes so much more easy.
Well, could I add something onto that?
I'd love it. Please.
I would take it even further. I'd say don't even talk. Speaking of conviction, ask questions with conviction. Ask the toughest questions you can ask. Because only someone who has full conviction in everything they say and do, they ask really tough questions, and you know what they do rest of the time? They shut up. They don't need to talk. Salespeople and sales reps that are listening to this, you might have a conviction problem if you're talking too much. I always say this, never justify, explain, or defend. The reason is because the people that hate you won't believe you, and the people that love you don't need it.
Yeah, I have found by having a show like this and by having more calls and just being on the phone more, I've stopped asking guiding questions. So I've stopped getting down a path where I know where I want you to start to answer, and I'll just sort of stop and let the individual take that where I go. But if I speak with conviction, I ask questions with conviction, well, then sort of what the question's supposed to be. The path that we're trying to go on. And it's so interesting to me how much this music background sort of comes into play. And we're going to talk about health and fitness in a second here as well, James. It's so interesting to me how much of that plays into the sales game. Before we move on to health and fitness, I want to ask you about attitude one more time. How much of attitude is contagious in the sales game?
Oh, define contagious.
I'm a sales rep who sits in an office with other sales reps. I know my goals. I'm a pretty good all-around person. I listen to good podcasts. I know what my wife and my family are after for the year. I'm in a good place. But Susie, the sales rep over here, she's not in the same headspace as me, and I can feel her energy every time she walks into the room, and it sucks every ounce of energy that I have out of me. How much do you think that attitude is contagious in a sales team or among sales team?
Yeah. So what you'll typically find in most companies, you'll find 20% of the team are A players, 60% are B players, and 20% are C players. If you're a sales leader and listening to this, you want to help your A players become better. You might want to suggest your B players become A players. I'm sorry to break this to you, but your C players are a lost cause. And most of their time and effort is being put into dragging B players into the C players game. A lot of times they're toxic and they're negative, and they have zero positive stuff to contribute to the sales organization, unfortunately. To your point, if the lady that you mentioned in this scenario is able to get her way, hopefully in her mind, the A player will become a C player at some point. Now, the A players, they try and pull people up, but they know that not everyone will put in the effort. Does that make sense? The C player will always try and pull people down because they know it's super easy. And the human brain, and I do a lot around neuroscience with regards to sales, the human brain has 70,000 thoughts a day. 87% of them are negative. So our brain is hardwired to be negative, not to be positive. That's how we are. And people say, oh, James, I'm stuck in life. Well, they're 87% of the thoughts are yesterday's thoughts. And so, dude, I was like, dude, if you're constantly thinking about yesterday's thoughts, then what do you expect? Of course you're stuck. What we need to do is we need to reframe that. We need to recondition our mindset. We need to break that pattern. Some people will never break that pattern. They're just hardwired that way. That's what makes them feel good. And for them, their subconscious is so caught onto that mindset that they will do anything to stay in that. The A players understand that they can master their mindset. There's something called neuroplasticity. They either know it consciously or subconsciously, that their mind can adapt. That's why they're investing in themselves. You'll probably see people that work out, that invest in their mindset, they read books, they listen to podcasts, they're into self-development because they understand that their mindset can change and their neuroplasticity can take place, meaning their brain can literally fire and wire neurons to create new circuits to support their growth. Some people with a negative mindset, they understand that those circuits are there to hold them back. And you could say it's a survival mode thing. I say, our brain is not designed for 2025. It's designed for 200,000 BC. It's designed to run away from bears and tigers, not to pick up the phone and call strangers and talk about time, money, and resources. So back to your point, I do think that there's something called a collective subconscious, and Carl Jung talks a lot about this stuff. So if you want to look that up, and yes, we do condition ourselves. However, A players know that that's not the norm, and they've made a conscious decision to be successful, and they will do anything to do that. C players have made a conscious decision to blame the whole entire world apart from themselves for all their problems, and they will preach that. And I always say that the good will prevail the bad, or the power will prevail the pain. And so if you are an A player and you see that around you, don't be alarmed. It just means that you're in the right place. And if you're a C player and you're fed up of everything around you and just feel that things are not working out, you might want to ask the A player what books they're reading.
It's a good point. Asking somebody what book they're reading is a very good point. I was listening to Andrew Huberman the other day, and he had said, instead of asking somebody how they're doing, ask them how they're sleeping. And that can tell you a lot about somebody. If you say, how have you been sleeping? That can tell you a lot about where they're at, because we know sleep is the key to recovery. Recovery is the key to everything that you're going to do for the next day. But to say, hey, what books have you been reading lately in conversation, I think is a really good talking point. I appreciate you sharing that perspective.
Yeah. Books, podcasts, mindset, ideas.
Yep.
I've not been sleeping so well recently. You know why?
Why?
Because I can't wait to get up the next morning and do it all over again.
That's a good mindset to have. I've not been sleeping so great because I have an almost 3-year-old and a 4-month-old. So I do my best, certainly, to get to bed right after they do. But
fair enough.
To be able to say, listen, I'm going to bed and I'm excited to wake up the next day, I'm scared to think about how many people do not say the same thing when they put their head on their pillow.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. And a lot of people, it goes back to the neuroscience piece. It goes back to that circuit piece. A lot of people feel it's they don't want to get up. They struggle to wake up in the morning. And I like to ask people, are you a morning person or a night person? That can sometimes say a lot about someone. I'm personally a more morning person. I get up super early. I work out. I have a whole, I journal. I meditate. I work out and all this other stuff. And some people tell me, it's really hard for them to get out of bed sometimes in the morning. And the most reason why, and I ask, why? Tell me more. Some of them they're fed up that they have to they have to face the day of rejection, of frustration. And it's a conditioning, because we all know the world isn't like that. It's only like that for people that have chosen for it to be like that. It's not really like it's we will determine our life and our reality. And I think in salespeople, actually, in my opinion, they have an advantage over most other professions with regards to personal development and success, because they are in this role of rejection. Sales is not an easy role. We have a Sandler rule, salespeople get paid to work in adverse conditions. That's what salespeople get paid to do. And so because of that, they have an opportunity to constantly look for ways to make their mindset stronger. And then they're able to uncover their ability to have more fruitful, successful lives, fulfilling lives. I think sales is awesome. You can get to make as much money as you want, and you'll decide how much money you want to make. You get to build good relationships for the right reasons, not to be liked, but to help others, be in service to others, but also solve problems and make money. At the end of the day, it's about making money. You can make as much money as you want. So that's just my sense when it comes to this stuff.
James, I want to talk to you a little bit about your endurance and performance, let's say professional sports element inside to you. You just finished your 16th marathon, came in at 3:14:50, which set a PR for yourself. What have you learned in your marathon journey that has helped you in the sales process or in your sales journey?
Oh, that's such a great question. So yeah, I mean, running is my passion. I started relatively late when I was 38. So up until then, and I had even had a period when I was kind of overweight. I was exactly at this negative place. I was overweight. I was smoking. I was drinking. I was not happy with what I was doing. I was working for a company I hated, selling a product I didn't believe in, with a boss I couldn't bear. It was just like I was living the dream.
Perfect storm.
I had three kids, and I was really not in a good place. And I live a very different life today back then, and I just had to find a way to get rid of the weight and just because I literally was worried. I said, God forbid something happens, I won't be able to help my children I physically won't be able to help them. And I got into running just simply to lose weight, and really kind of just fell in love with that. And it took me a long time to build this level of endurance. I think the biggest problem we have is that we're all looking for quick, fast results. I don't think there's anything in life. I mean, it doesn't exist. And same thing with this. But what I did think, the number one thing that I've found that has helped me shave off 15 minutes from my last marathon race to this one, and hopefully another 15 minutes to the next, which I'm planning on doing a sub-3, was go slower. Go slower.
Explain that to us, please.
So we're all about going fast, and the before I used to. I don't know if anyone runs. They probably know the wall, and you're running and you're reaching 32K, and then suddenly we're 20 miles, and then suddenly you hit this wall, right? And you run out of energy. And it's a famous condition. Now I was hitting wall after wall after wall, but I was starting too fast. So I would just, and sales is emotional. Running is also emotional. You're on the race, you're starting to run, you're all excited. You're like, wait, I think I can do this. You have that little professor in your head saying, yeah, I think you can do this. You can start strong. This is really great. Yeah. Look at all these people. And I used to end up literally crawling across the finish line. And working with a new trainer helped me realize that you have to run slower in order to run faster. And my last marathon, 20-mile mark, instead of hitting a wall and falling apart. And my trainer said to me the night before, he rang me up and he's like preparing my mindset. And he says, listen, what's going to happen? You're going to run and you're going to start really, really slow. You're going to feel like you're walking. All right. And you're going to build up your pace. And I built this entire Excel sheet. I knew exactly every mile what my pace would be. And he said at the 20-mile mark, you'll sort of notice people will start to stop. And then at the 22-mile, you'll see people starting to fall apart and literally just fall to the floor. That's where you explode and you go faster than you've ever gone. And that was the case. And that's exactly what happened. So start slower, maintain a cadence. Don't lose your mind. Don't go crazy. Keep it together. And then at the end, you can go fast. And I'm a Sandler guy. We believe in methodology, and our sales process is very simple. Qualify hard, close easy. So you go slower at the beginning to speed up. And I think that's an important element when it comes to sales. Don't rush for the outcome. Don't rush for the yes. Getting a no is also okay, and qualifying for the right reasons. And that does take time. So slow down to speed up. And also work a lot on your mindset and on your body so that you're a strong and body-minded spirit to actually get across the finish line in one piece and more.
Yeah, I signed up for my first marathon. I'm competing in the Buffalo Marathon in May of this year. So I've signed up probably 6-7 months into training now. And I've learned those slow miles, those zone 2 miles, those are the hard ones, right? You want to go faster. You have more in the tank. You can do more. And there's so many metaphors that we could paint to sales and business there, but your body knows that you can do more. It knows you're capable of more, but you also know that there's a reason for what it is that you're doing. And if you see the bigger picture, then the slow miles make sense. If you don't see the bigger picture, or worse, you don't have the bigger picture, then those zone 2 miles don't make sense. But that's something that I've definitely learned. James, I got to be honest with you. The hardest part for me in the process right now isn't so much physical as it is mental. The mental endurance of the 15-mile preps, that's the most I've done so far in this training that I've been a part of. It's a battle, right? You're out there for a while. What do you say to somebody who, like me, might be going through a marathon prep, or just in the sales process of just call after call after call? How do you stay mentally strong when your body and your mind are saying, I can't do this anymore?
Well, one is, if your body and mind are telling you that you can't do this anymore, then I think you got to take a good look on what's going on, because there's something. I always believe there's some things that we can we can be in control of. That's like the behavioral piece. How are we, how are we feeling ourselves? Are we getting enough sleep? What does our training regimen look like? Are we drinking enough water? That again, and the people just don't drink enough water. You'd be surprised. These little things, these behavioral elements are crucial for us to be in the right place. And again, it's about, why are we doing this? Why do you want to run a marathon? I mean, what do you want to prove to yourself, or what's the goal? I think that's a fair question. Why am I doing this?
It's a great
I
question.
think, why am I doing this? And I always say, look, ask yourself, don't ask yourself, if your your husband was to ask you, why are you doing this? What would the answer be? And I would always say this: set a goal and give yourself a good reason of why you're doing it. And by the way, you don't have to have something that is super clear, but a good idea is, I want to feel good. I think that is good enough reason. I want to feel good. I might not feel great doing it, training for it, but I know I'm going to feel freaking awesome afterwards. Right? I mean, it's all these things we do that we always feel great afterwards, right? But we don't want to really do. So I say that, choose your pain. It's the pain of now versus the pain of later. And in a world where everyone is, we're a world that it's all about gaining pleasure as soon as possible, with your phones, with all this stuff around us, with food, with everything. And it's, just pleasure-oriented society where by the way, our brain is not hardwired for that, just so we're clear, but it's getting conditioned to that when we get into a little pain. So just learn to live with pain. Just learn to be in pain. And the moment you know that no pain, or no pain, no gain, that if you don't feel pain, I say this to people: if you don't feel pain, you should worry. If you don't feel pain in your role, in your job, in your life, you should worry. That means you're probably on your phone making someone else very, very rich at that point. Okay. And that's really so what is the pain that we're looking to solve with ourselves? What are the gains? What are the goals we want to achieve? And yeah, I mean, you're out there running, dude. 1% of the population does that stuff, and 1% of the 1% do a marathon. Imagine that. I mean, you're doing it for you, and enjoy every mile, because one day you'll tell the story of every mile, not the story of every mile you didn't run, but the story of every mile you did run.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. The 26.2, that's the documented part, right? It's the 450 that I ran last year. It's probably going to be that much, if not more, leading up to the 26.2. Yes, it's not an easy feat, but I mean, at that point, man, we've put in the work. We've put in the hours. We've put in the prep, right? So it's fun. It's something where I think I've been trying to be more mindful of finding joy in the journey, in saying that, listen, crossing the finish line, yes, is going to feel great, but I also want to enjoy every time I'm going out there in doing this, because otherwise, what am I doing this for? Now, I know my why, I know my purpose, I know what I'm out there for. That's very much crafted in my mind. But I've been mentally trying to get to a point of, okay, every time I strap up my shoes, why are we doing this? Stay focused, stay committed, and go out and get after it.
Oh yeah, just go and do it. Just don't even think about it anymore. Just get out there. Even me, I got to be honest. I mean, I think last year I did like, I don't know, maybe 1,800 miles last year. That's a lot.
It's wild. Yeah.
And every time I go out, I'm like, there's sometimes where I'm most of the, I don't want to do this. Right. And that's a mindset, behavioral thing. Think about that for a second. I mean, if you're in sales right now, what's more important to you? What do you think more is important, attitude or behavior? Now, most people tell me attitude is more important, but here's the thing. You might not want to lace up in the morning and go out for the run. But let's pretend you stayed in bed. How would you feel at 8 a.m.? Good or bad?
Awful.
But let's pretend you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway. How would you feel at 8 a.m. after you've ran the 10 miles?
I'll feel great.
Yeah. You feel awesome, right? So a lot of people around, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. I hear that a bit. I'm not in the mood. Well, of course you're not in the mood. You're never in the mood.
Right.
But you get in the mood once you bring your body to do the behaviors that are necessary. Same thing with sales. You're never in the mood to do cold calls. No one likes to call strangers. But when you get the yes, then how do you feel? You feel awesome. You even forget about how crap you felt, 2 hours ago. Or you might have had a day of cold calls and no one answered the phone, or people hung up on you, or you had a couple of conversations and nothing stick. But then a week later, someone called you back, say, look, you called me last week. And that's been on my mind. I do need someone to staff. I actually have this little problem, or maybe you can help me. And how do you feel when that happens? I always say this: plant the seeds today and harvest the fruits tomorrow. Plant the seeds every day, and then the fruit will come. But you got to plant the seeds every day. And think about it. It's not getting rejected every day. It's planting the seeds every day. And I think that mindset is super powerful. And that will also help people when it comes to conviction. Because if you believe that you can cross the finish line, and by the way, I mean, my goal was a sub 3:15 for the marathon I did in December.
Yeah.
I want to get another goal, which is sub 3, but that was what I was doing for this one, just to build it up. And I came in at 3:14.50. And so set the goal, build the plan, and you can bet on the outcome.
10 seconds to spare, my friend. That's a fantastic finish. Fantastic finish. I want to ask one more question here. When we think about attitude, we think about behavior, maybe this is even venturing towards technique. How important is your physical well-being in the sales process? How important is running? How important is diet? How important is going to the gym to have
Good question.
mental clarity for the sales process?
Super question. Let me put it this way. So I'm in the performance business. I train and coach salespeople, professionals, and companies. And usually when someone reaches out to me and is asked to work with me, one of my qualification questions is, do they work out? If you're in sales and you don't work out, you're basically conditioning your body to a mindset that is of stagnation. Here's the thing about sales. When you're on a sales call, what are you expecting the prospect to do? What do you hope they say? Yes.
I hope they say yes.
Right? Yeah, they say yes. And how does it make you feel when they say yes? Makes you feel good, right?
Yep.
So you feel like dopamine and oxytocin and all this stuff. So now the problem is that how many do you get lots of yeses during the day? No, you don't, right? And so what happens when we're in a sales engagement and we want to hear the word yes because it makes us feel good, right? But we don't get it. What do we start to do? We become emotional. We start pushing the prospect. And when we start pushing the prospect, it's because we're starting to get another hormone or another chemical reaction, which is cortisol. It's a stress hormone. You all right? And so what happens is people are actually reacting more to the cortisol that is getting released in their body and not the dopamine and the oxytocin that they're looking for. And so I say to this, if you're looking to feel really good during the day on your sales calls, and you're looking to get emotional, positive responses from your prospects, they're not going to give it to you. And so instead, why don't you work out in the morning, give your body those hormones and those chemicals that it so desperately is seeking for all day, and then you won't look for them on the sales call. It's self-love. If you don't love yourself, no one will love you. If you're not able to give yourself and make your body be the best version of yourself, and you're able to train and work out, and lose weight and be fit in body, mind, and spirit, then, maybe your prospects see right through you and they don't want to do business with people like that. No offense. But I truly do believe that there's a huge connection on how well we take care of our body and how that projects to our mind and how that projects to others around us. And I think in sales, we should be fit, strong, and healthy in body, mind, and spirit. So to your point, if you're in sales, I highly recommend you go to the gym. You work out every morning. I know that sounds a little harsh, but every morning you can do it at home. You don't even have to go out. You don't have to leave your house. Literally, you don't. Get yourself a couple of kettlebells or a couple of dumbbells, and you could probably get YouTube, and you could probably give yourself the best gift of life that no one else will give you, but you can give yourself.
James, before I let you go, I want to give you the opportunity to share a little bit about yourself that you may not have shared already and tell everyone about Sandler Israel.
So I'm a Sandler trainer. Sandler is a global company, and I'm 51 years old. I got 4 kids. I'm passionate about running and personal development, and I basically help organizations and individuals break through the glass ceilings that are holding them back when it comes to sales and revenue growth. But basically, this is my 3rd career, what I've noticed in sales. But what I did notice over the years is that no one really had any process. Everyone was winging it. Salesman's doing this, prospects doing that. Very little alignment. And I come across Sandler, and basically what we do is we help companies and individuals implement methodology and process to bring in great results, to live a great life, and grow their business and careers successfully. So that's just a little bit about me and my business.
And before I let you go, our 2-question rapid fire round, if you got a second.
Go ahead.
One book that has fundamentally changed your life.
Oh my God, there's so many. I think the first one, I'm going to give you 5. Okay, I can't help myself. All right. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. You've probably all read it, but I highly recommend to read it again. Number 2 is...
I read it every single January.
There you go. Outwitting the Devil, also by Napoleon Hill. Highly recommend that one. I recommend listening to it from an audiobook because simply it just comes across so much better. Be Your Future Self Now by Benjamin Hardy, The Gain and the Gap. The Gap and the Gain, also by Benjamin Hardy. And the last one is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza.
One piece of advice you would give to somebody just starting in a sales role, what would you tell them?
Work on your mindset and your body, mind, and spirit. Work out, get as much personal development stuff that you can get your hands on, and work a process. Make sure you have a system, a selling system in place that will keep you safe and will make you successful. Don't trust intuition, and don't trust any manager that would say to you, just hand you a phone and a list. That's great, but it doesn't work. You deserve a system. You deserve to be treated like a professional. And if you can't find a place that gives you that within your role, invest in yourself.
James Abraham. James, can't thank you enough for coming on this episode to take the stage and sharing all your insights with us, my friend.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me.